You're listening to the Crew Book Club podcast, the show that challenges you to change your mindset through hearing about dope books. Thanks for hanging with the crew to get advice, ask questions, and gain knowledge with me, your host, Sade Hill. So I was leaving off the story about my first cuss word. So my mom, we pulling out a KFC, and they had these chicken wraps. And I got me a chicken wrap, and a pot pie. And I remember opening up the pot pie, and I'm like, I was at high school when I said my first cuss word. And so I opened up the pot pie, and I'm like, dang, this a big ass pot pie. My mama looked at me, and she said, what you say? And I was just like, this a big pot pie. So yeah, that was the first time I said my first cuss word in front of my mom. So yeah, to my podcast listeners, this is some intimacy that you get from subscribing to the YouTube channel if you want to get a quick visual. But anywho, let's get into the pod. Welcome to the Crew Book Club podcast. I am super excited to be here as always to record and discuss these books because baby, what's the line? I read the books you should read, but don't have the time to. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And we just finished the one thing last week, and you guys had voted. We were between The Mountain Is You and We Should All Be Millionaires. And everybody was like, let's do We Should All Be Millionaires right now. Okay. And I think this is perfect timing because we're quote unquote going into a, economic, what some people will call a crisis, okay? Because things are crazy. I read a post the other day by a friend that I follow on social, and they were like, how this ad company had 200% in profit. And then question mark, what's really going on? Y'all was just struggling and needed some money from these eggs, and y'all know we was gonna buy these eggs. And I know some people's like, see, this is why I stopped eating eggs. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna stop eating my eggs. I love my eggs. Anywho, so instead of focus on what we need to cut back on, we're gonna focus on how we gonna make money, because that's where the focus should be. And in this book, it helped me just with that. So I can't wait to get into that. We Should All Be Millionaires, A Woman's Guide to Earning More, Building Wealth, and Gaining Economic Power by Rachel Rodgers. And this girl is super dope. This woman is super dope. You should definitely be following her. And what a perfect time to start this book, particularly in Women's Month. So timing is lining up perfectly. I kind of already pre-picked a title, which I normally don't do, but it just felt right. And it's like, talk to yourself nice. And you're going to see as I go through the episode on why I titled that. Now, and when I go to edit, I could change it. But right now, it just seems so fitting. And it just, another thing to do something nice for yourself is talking to yourself nice and learning how to do that by processing your mindset. And that just is a good segue to understand why we have the partnership with BetterHelp, who is the sponsor of this episode. You guys get 10% off your first month of professional therapy with them. I personally have used them, and I highly recommend using them because easy to use, easy to set up. You can do this anywhere that you have service on your phone. There's no excuse why you can't get access to a therapy. I had somebody complain to me the other day, I can't find a black therapist or a really good therapist here locally in Jacksonville. And I said, girl, click on that BetterHelp real quick. I send her the links so you can see you can expand. You don't have to just stay local. You can look outside your neighborhood and find a therapist that works for you. Okay. So I appreciate that about BetterHelp. Okay. So check out betterhelp.com/crewlove. The link is also in the show notes. So you already know we open up the show differently today, but I definitely want to say what up, crew, and what's good, and get into our Who Gon Check Me Boo? God he is always checking us because he keeps us in check. Yes, I love being in check by God. If anybody gonna check me, God is. Okay? All right. This comes from the sermon preached by Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. Boy, I cannot wait to go visit her in in Texas for the Woman Evolved tour, the Woman Evolved event. I hate that I missed her when she came here locally. Totally had it on my calendar to buy a ticket, and I didn't. And I normally say what's on the calendar is going to happen, but it came up to buy the ticket. Then when I went to buy it, they were sold out. Whatever. But I'm going to definitely see her in Texas, baby. All right. So this particular sermon called Glory Triggers, it was the one she preached last Sunday at the Potter's house. Baby. I was literally sitting there, and that woman is anointed. Before she could even get the rest of the sermon out, I was already crying. Happy tears of joy, because God is so good. So she started the sermon off with giving the definition of trigger and how we are using it from a mental capacity, not from a mechanical. She gave the mechanical definition too. The mental definition affects your emotional state, often significantly causing extreme overwhelm or distress, affects the ability to remain present in the moment. Basically, fear has been activated when you're triggered. And she was talking about how common of a word it is. And so I'm listening to the sermon, and it's really, really good. She's killing it, right? Then she gets to this part where she mentions the scripture Jeremiah 1:5. And Jeremiah 1:5, chapter 1, verse 5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Very common scripture that is preached. But the way she preached it in a sense of, I could be lost, not have no direction of where I'm going, but knowing that God is my Father, and no matter what, who, when, where is in the mix, He knows my destiny before anybody else knew or could depict my destiny. And she said, I'm getting triggered to glory, where God knew me before I was in my mother's womb. Oh, that hit, because we will forget where God has brought us from. People will try to make you remember who you were before, but then we have to realize, my God, to be triggered by His glory, not by what other people are saying. And this is how it hit me. I was just like, yes, no matter what you say, he say, she say, John say, Sue say, whoever, Kiki say, I know my God knew me before any of y'all. And He's the person that guides me and has control over my destiny. No matter what you or anyone tries to do to me, He gonna make a way. Even when I'm destructive to myself, God gonna find a way to bring me back and check me. And so instead of being triggered by what other people are saying and doing, I want you to be triggered by God's glory. That's what's gonna trigger me. Every time I'm in a situation, I'm gonna think back what God has brought me through. I'm gonna remember who knew me in my mother's womb, and that is Christ, and I'm gonna be triggered by that. Okay? So that's how I'm going to receive being triggered. You hear me? So definitely check out the sermon. The link is going to be in the show notes as well. This sermon was so good. I love the way her father preaches, because it's evergreen. And I like how you could just go back and find these sermons over and over and over and re-register and re-watch them. I literally have a whole bunch of sermons saved, because they can always hit differently at different times and points in your life. So definitely check out this sermon and save it and subscribe to their channel. All right. So if you guys want to show me some crew love, definitely right now while you're listening to the pod, I appreciate all the reshares and everything, but please leave a review. Oh, and guess what? We were, I'm going to put the link in the show notes, but your girl, the Crew Book Club, You know what I'm saying? We were in our first blog. We were in the top 80 podcasts to listen to in 2023. Yes, yes, yes. We made a list, a top list, and we were number 54. So I appreciate all the people who have left reviews and 5 stars. So continue to do that. Let's grow. Let's elevate. Let's continue the podcast growth. I'm super excited about that. So show me some crew love by leaving a 5-star review and as well as a written review. And if you leave a written review, I would share it right here on the podcast and shout you out. So thank you so much for the crew love. We do have some events happening. We have every 4th Wednesday, we're going to be meeting virtually. So click the Eventbrite link in the show notes to get the Zoom information. And it's basically discussing the month of the pod, the chapters we've covered on the podcast, the Who Gon Check Me Boos. You can come to me about your aha moments, your questions, your thoughts. Let's discuss. This is an opportunity for you to get some time with me and me some time with you. And for my people who are here locally, I got something for you too. The mastermind is coming up April 1st. You can order your ticket in the show notes. I'm going to have some food for you. I'm going to have some learning for you, some activities to challenge our mindset. We're going to have a really great time networking with each other and taking what's in our mind, making a vision, making it plain, and executing, because we about that action. And also, if you're going to miss the mastermind and you can't get that in person, that's okay, boo. Because on the website, you can order the mastermind booklet and do a self-pace. I will mail you the booklet and send you all the activities associated with the booklet as well. Okay? And you have no excuses to get it done. That's all I got to say. Okay, so let's get into the introduction of We Should All Be Millionaires by Rodgers. This book checked me up and down, and I was reading it with a cousin of mine, and she got checked, and we're motivated to do one of the challenges in the book together, and you'll hear about it. I'm not going to scare you right now. Okay, it's a really big challenge, but I'm always up for one. All right. So we're going to get into the introduction and woo, it's so good. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. In the beginning, she leaves a quote at the beginning of each chapter of the book. And this one is the introduction, and it's by Madam C.J. Walker. It says, America doesn't respect anything but money. Okay. What our people need is a few millionaires. All right. And that was back in the day. So you already know that's prevalent now. Even more prevalent now. All right. It starts off with every woman needs to know what it feels like to wield economic power. That's how we make change. That's how we serve our children. That's how we serve the world. I want you to know what it feels like to be a millionaire. To have more than you need and be able to put the surplus money to work for your children, my children, and our children's children. It's all about community, right? This book will show you the way. Build serious wealth, increase your income significantly within 1 year, get on a path to becoming a millionaire within 3 years, stop getting in your own way, increase your power, peace, and joy. Now, we can do all that and still become millionaires, because sometimes people associate, oh, there's no peace, more money, more problems. No, you're looking at it completely wrong, okay? Also, it says here's what you will not see in this book. Me telling you to stop drinking your $3 latte or stop being a shopaholic. These are ridiculous messages women are inundated with by so-called financial gurus on a daily basis. You will learn how to add income streams without hustling all the time and start generating an extra $1,000 or $5,000 per month. In this book, you'll learn how to expand your income rather than contract your expenses. That's what I'm talking about. I don't want to cut my lattes. I don't want to cut my shopping. I want to know, and I want to focus on how to make more money. Okay? And that's what I'm talking about. All right. It says here, money always creates power by giving us autonomy. When we have money, we can make decisions that improve our quality of life and the lives of others without needing anyone else to weigh in. Okay. When we have wealth, we can independent and make our own decisions. Yes. We've tried using our voices to speak truth to power. We've marched. We've tried writing letters to our representatives. Okay? We've begun to raise hell and see our voices, but we need to start playing a different game. We need to get to the money. Money. Okay? Listen, she has a quote here. A game we can win, even though the rules that apply to the men don't apply to us. And this is how we need to band together and lift women up and work together so we can make our stamp on this society, okay? Women need to define success on our own terms and go after our goals in our own ways, even if it seems crazy or risky or unusual at times. Because I'm saying people that say you crazy or that's not going to work, it's the same people who are doubting their own fears and projecting it onto you. So we're going to forget that, okay? And we're going to move forward. And it says here, because I've seen over and over again that doing things your own way as a woman works. Our way works. Don't let people talk you out your way. Ooh, that was good. Okay. That was part of the introduction. And then she has this extra piece in this like dark gray. That's an insert into the chapter. And she was like, why should we shoot for $1 million? Isn't 6 figures enough? Remember, so, I make 6 figures. A child, 6 figures do not go far. Trust me. Okay. Listen. She says, no, it's not. Here's the problem. While 6 figures is an annual revenue sounds like success, it doesn't feel like success. Fixed expenses are increasing at a faster rate than incomes, making it harder to live a comfortable lifestyle in American cities. Just alone, look at how interest rates went from like 3 point something last year to now we're at like 6.7, almost 6.8, I think. So we definitely need to have those reserves. Okay. It says here, I define a millionaire as a person who has more than $1 million in assets or who generates an income of $1 million or more per year. When you are making this kind of money, trust me, it's possible. You can enjoy your life and make the world a better place. That's how we gonna make a world a better place, by putting our dollars into the economy, okay, into our systems, all right? She was like, but as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't always wealthy, successful, and confident. I grew up low income, which a lot of us do. I was going to say I grew up because I had no money. I mean, we got things, but we wasn't living this overly luxurious life. Or if something was to happen, I wasn't going to, there's still responsibilities I would have to take care of. And then there's no actual generational wealth in my family. Okay. So I want to change that. I'm going to change that. I'm going to change all of that for my family. Okay. It says here, a Black woman with plenty of kids and a husband and lots of responsibilities who started with literally nothing but passion. And this is one reason why I love her too, because she reflects where a lot of us are at. One of the excuses that I hear a lot of at events is, oh, I have kids, I have my husband, I'm this and I'm that. Like, that's not an excuse. There's enough information out here for us to get to where we need to go. It's not even that. It's you. It's you. Because I know it was me. And I'm looking at the camera and I'm saying it's you because I'm talking to myself too. We have to have no excuses, and that's the truth. I don't know how many times I turn around and I'm speaking somewhere, and it's like every time I give a solution, they got an excuse. And I'm like, that just shows me I'm not going to beat you across the head with information or a way. You have to be to the point where you're so sick and tired of being sick and tired that you choose to do things this way to get where you need to be. Okay? It says here, my chosen form of protest is to make money and use it to create the change I want to see in the world. Demands requires capital. It takes money to lobby Congress. It takes money to support protesters who march in the streets. It takes money to bail out activists and fund research that provides evidence of the need of change. Everybody not for the streets. I'm not out. That ain't for me to be out in the streets protesting. I tried once at a women's march in Seattle with my daughter. I was just like, yeah, this ain't it. I would rather be out here making a lot of money and funding those type of events and bailing out activists, putting things into place in Congress, supporting people that I want in those positions. That's how I want to show up as an activist. So she says, it's time for us as women to turn toward our money. And I'm with you, girl. I was reading this, I was like, oh, this is so hype. This whole thing has gotten me hyped. She ends this introduction with a quote that says, not a quote. She ends this introduction. I have it in here as quote. She says, let's begin by looking at the stories you tell yourself. You see where the title comes from? Talk to yourself nice. Okay. Let's replace stories of weakness, unworthiness, and failure with your $1 million story. Okay. So talk to yourself nice. All right. Let's pivot from the stories that we've been telling ourselves. So part 1 of the book is called $1 Million Behavior. So before we become millionaires, we better start acting like it. You hear me? Okay, so chapter 1, $1 million story. Okay, at the beginning of the chapter, she has some amazing stories of the women in her life and the people who affected her perception of money. And on page 10, she gets into it. Just like you, I am a product of my environment. My role models for wealth, my aunts, Alana, her parents, which was a friend of hers, and my mother that she helped take to school. It was really good stories that really touched me because I had the rich auntie. You know what I'm saying? So I saw what money could get me, and I saw where it could take me, and now I'm ready to take it to another level. All right? She says, showed me that it's possible to make money, live comfortably, and enjoy life. They also showed me different ways of being wealthy. You could be no nonsense and take no shit. You could be very personification of kindness, or you could be both at the same time. So we can be nice, still make money, okay? You don't have to be a bitch and make money, okay? You don't have to do all that, all right? But the years of financial struggles that my parents and sister and I experienced made me believe that even if I did achieve financial success, it will go away someday. And I have to admit that I still, to this very day, carry that fear. I once had a business coach who used to make me repeat, I will never be poor again. Why do we always feel, it's like imposter syndrome. Why do we always feel like when we're at this peak that the bottom is just going to drop? And I associate it with, okay, God, ooh, glory trigger. He's always provided. He's always elevated. He's never pulled me backwards. So let's focus on that, okay? She says, each day I have to choose to refrain from those thoughts that try to steal my peace and instead tell myself a new story. I recognize that the fears in my head are just stories that I tell myself. They are prison that I have created to keep me from experiencing the disappointment of failure. They aren't true unless I continue to believe in them, then act on them and make them true. Whoa. This is good. Thinking negative thoughts is a form of self-sabotage that keeps you safe and therefore stagnant. This is so good. Listen to y'all. I want y'all to listen. The discomfort of being broke used to be very comfortable for me. So much so that whenever I had a surplus of money, I would spend it fast as possible because I was accustomed to being broke. Are you accustomed to being broke? Ooh, this hit me because this is personal for me. Brokenness was a state of being I knew well. I knew how to be broke. I didn't know how to be financially stable. I was subconsciously worried that if I got to a place of financial stability, I would make poor decisions and lose the money and look like a failure. Yo, this was me when I first really started to seek success in real estate. I was making money and I was spending it like crazy. And I was just like ridiculous and did not have my business in order. Not this time around. We're going to get it right, okay? She says, this was me sabotaging my own success because I was afraid of having to become a better version of myself. I was afraid of paying taxes and having to be responsible. I was afraid of making a mistake. I was afraid of finding out how powerful I truly am, and I let that fear get in my way time and time again. If you were this person or is this person, today is the day. This is your fiscal year where you are going to stop it. Okay? And I'm talking to myself. I'm literally, when y'all go look at this YouTube, I'm literally like, you gonna stop. Okay? Okay? I have control. I have power. Okay, I will not let the fear of this control me. Okay, I have no fear of success. Everything is going to work out for my good. You hear me? All right. And I'm going to give y'all these and we'll close out the chapter. Common money stories women regularly tell themselves. Money is not important to me. Okay? It may sound nice to say that you are above making money, but unless you are always above paying rent, eating, and clothing yourself, you're full of SHIT. So, money is not that important to me. You are lying to yourself. Okay? Stop it. You know, if you had it, you would love it and it would be better. Not saying that it is everything, but like she says here, money is not about money. It's about what you're able to do with it. So we need to pivot how we look at money, okay? The other one she said that was a common story women regularly tell themselves is, you have to work really hard to make money. Not true. That makes me think of, I had asked on Instagram yesterday, what were you taught about money? And two of the answers were so similar. And this is some of the things that I was taught. One said, work for what you want. That's about it. Not much was given. And then someone else said, just work and save money. But it wasn't no true on how to make money really grow. Mine was just have good credit and you can get wherever you want. Not saying half of that's the true statement. Having good credit and get whatever you want is more beneficial. But that's not the real way to accumulate wealth. You need to know how to use credit to build your wealth, but that should not be the only lesson. It's definitely deeper than that, and I just felt like that was just the surface, okay? Not even scratching the surface. That was just sitting on top of the surface, okay? So it says here, you have to work really hard to make money. That ain't it, sis. She says, perhaps you felt neglected as a child because your parents were constantly working in pursuit of financial well-being. True. I told you I think I said in the last episode, I didn't want to be a realtor because my dad was one and I didn't like how he handled his time and business. And I associated the success of me being a realtor with that. And I didn't want to be like him. But I had to realize it's not about him. It's about me and how I'm going to run my business and build my wealth. She says also to that lie, you may be telling yourself that making more money is not worth pursuing because you don't want to risk your health and happiness chasing money like your parents did. Reject that belief. Okay, there's so many different ways to make money, and actually building wealth is not necessarily you out here scrubbing the pavement. It's buying real estate, stocks, sharing a business so you can sit back and let your money work for you. So working hard is not a requirement for getting wealthy. Another lie that women tell ourselves is, I'm just not good with money. The lies that have been impeded from our society onto us because they know we run the world. Girls, okay? She says, no one is inherently good or bad with money. Y'all, we wasn't born with the skill set to just be good with money, okay? If God made that like he made our arms and legs, we will all be wealthy. No, like she says here, being good with money is at a acquired skill. You learn how to manage your money, make financial decisions, and take calculated risks. Okay? You can also choose not to learn, which a lot of us are doing, and we're going to stop that. Instead, throw up your hands and declare that side, you're just not good with money, and that's why you've bounced and your accounts are in a negative. No, we're not stopping that. That's just weak, and we know we itches. I want to say, B-I-T-C-H's. We ain't weak. Okay? Wouldn't you rather be a badass boss bitch running things than a woman who gives away her power? You get to decide. That's in the book. That's a quote. Quote. That's on page 14. Okay? So these were so good. And I just love the breakdown of this book. I was reading this and I was just like, yeah, this book gonna make you go get it. And even more into the book, we're going to break down the history of women and money and credit. And I can't wait because those are some shocking statistics that made me wow. And it gave me some grace to my knowledge of financials. So we're going to get into that too. And so that was the introduction in chapter 1, Million Dollar Story. Now, the challenge of the week is inspired by chapter 1. And in each chapter, she has these things called action steps, which I love. And our challenge this week is the action step on page 20. It says, find a negative thought that's constantly playing in your head and make it through thought work. So the challenge of the week, right now, I want you to grab your pen and paper or screenshot this timestamp and do this activity later. But I want you to write these questions that she listed. What are the facts of this situation? Where did this thought come from? How does this thought affect me? And what's a better way to think about it? Okay? Find a positive or neutral reframe of the negative thought that acknowledge reality, but also assert your agencies. Okay, so she has this column called broke ass thought and $1 million thoughts. There's 17 of them, but I'm going to share the ones that I actively have been using and replacing in my head, okay? And if you really want these and you really serious, like, no, should they send me all 17? Email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com and just put in their $1 million thought, and I will email this personally to you, okay? So email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com if you want the $1 million thought, what to replace all 17 of them, so you can know what to replace your thoughts with. The ones that I chose was, the broke ass thought was, I'll never get out of debt. And replacing that with $1 million thought, I'm capable of changing my situation. All right. The other one I chose out of the 17 was, making money is hard. The $1 million thought is, there are an infinite number of ways to make money. I can find something that feels good to me. It may be challenging, but also fun and worthwhile. The third one that I chose out of the 17 that fit me was, I'm not good with money. These are things that I've told myself. The thought that replaced that, the $1 million thought, is building wealth is a skill that I can learn. All right. The next thought that I had chose out of the 17 was, whenever I get money, I always screw it up. No. The $1 million thought is, I've made broke ass decisions in the past, but now I'm making $1 million decisions, and that is how I'm going to move forward. So the challenge of the week is to find your broke ass thought and replace it with $1 million thought. You hear me? Okay, and if you want the full list of the broke ass thoughts, what to replace them with, email the Crew Book Club and I will definitely share them with you. Okay, you can even DM me and I'll take a screenshot and share it with you if you don't own the book. All right, so that was your challenge of the week. You know, replace your broke ass thoughts with $1 million thoughts. Okay. All right. So let's get into the part of the episode where we talk about what would the crew do, where you can email the Crew Book Club, ask advice in the subject line, or you can DM me on our Instagram to get your question answered. And this question came from my DMs, and they said, what do you think? The economy is crazy. Do you think people should stay together to survive? I'm a believer. I believe God is a provider. I don't really pay attention to, I don't get me wrong, I pay attention to what's going on, but I don't let that fear me into what I'm not going to have. And I'm not going to stay somewhere just to survive. Like, my provider is God. And I'm I am 100% sure God wouldn't want me to stay somewhere where he would not want me to thrive. God is a God who puts you in position to bear fruit. And if you're in a situation that's not bearing fruit, you need to evaluate your relationship with Christ. So no matter what is going on in this economy, God trumps all of that, and he controls what is going on in your life, and that should be your focus. Now, it didn't say whether you guys are married. I'm a strong believer in marriage in a sense of doing everything you need to do to figure it out. What helped me figure it out is my husband and I putting God first. And I know some of y'all probably like, oh, I don't do the God thing. At the end of the day, if you try everything else and you have not tried God, I'm telling you from my experience, it will change your whole situation just like that. If you could literally be a fly on the wall or hear some of the conversations I've had with my friends about why I shouldn't be married. And then the moment that they check me, well, Shada, have you fasted about this? Have you asked God about this? And da-da-da-da. But I honestly think it took me to let go completely and let God step in and do what he needed to do instead of me trying to do it all. I literally got to the point where I was just like, I'm done. And then that's when God showed up, and I allowed God. I prayed for my husband. I prayed for us. I prayed to God to ask me on what I needed to do, how I needed to check myself. And he was like, let me, God. So I'm going to just say, I know the economy is crazy. I know it's scary. But when you pay attention to what God is doing and what God has for you, he's going to lead you to be with the person you need to be with to bear the right fruit, or exit and focus on you and God so you can bear fruit. Okay? So that would be my advice. I don't think you should stay with somebody just for money. I don't think it's healthy. It's not. And I'm just telling you from my own experience, you definitely want to be with someone for more than just a dollar bill. And if your concern is staying with them to survive, you willing to be miserable with someone just to survive? And that makes me question, like, are you really surviving? Just a thought, just my thought. And from my experience, I'm just saying, if you've tried everything else and haven't tried God, try him first. All right. Okay, so that is What Would the Crew Do? Ask advice. Remember, you can email the crew bookclub@gmail.com to get your questions answered, or DM the crew on our Instagram. All right. You know we can't end this episode without a quote of the week. The quote of the week comes from page 3. It says, first forget inspiration. Habit is more dependable. Habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. Habit will help you finish and polish your stories. Inspiration won't. Habit is persistent and practice. And that is by the beautiful Octavia Butler. Beautiful, beautiful quote. And strongly stand by that quote. It's not about being motivated. It's about being consistent. And so, crew, I need you to shift your mindset. Focus on being persistent and talk nice to yourself. You got this. Thanks for tuning into the Crew Book Club podcast, and I will see y'all right here next week. Hey. Want to be a part of the crew? Hit that follow button so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, I would appreciate you showing crew love by rating the show on iTunes and Spotify. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Share and tell a friend so your whole crew can be growing with you. Let me be the first to tell you, welcome to the crew.